Spring break. The time of year when students from all over come together to celebrate the end of winter and the beginning of warmer days. Time for sun, sand, and swimming. The beach becomes a playground for everyone looking to unwind and have a blast. My best friend, Tommy, and I were so excited. We had been planning this trip for months, counting down the days until we could leave our worries behind. We rented a cool hotel room near the beach. It had an amazing view of the ocean, and we could hear the waves crashing from our balcony. It had a pool, a game room, and everything. We couldn't believe our luck. It was the perfect spot for our spring break adventure.
"This is going to be awesome!" Tommy exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement.
Tommy yelled, throwing his backpack on the bed. He was ready to dive into the fun without wasting a single moment. I grinned, already imagining the fun we'd have. The beach, the parties, the new friends we would make. It was all so thrilling. The first day was perfect. The sun was shining, the water was just the right temperature, and everyone was in high spirits. We built a giant sand castle, splashed in the waves, and laughed until our sides hurt. We even played beach volleyball with some kids our age. It was a great way to meet new people and make friends. By the time the sun started to set, we were exhausted, but happy. The sky turned shades of pink and orange, creating a beautiful backdrop for our memories. We decided to grab some ice cream at a little shop near our hotel. It was the perfect way to end a perfect day. As we were paying, I noticed a man staring at us. His gaze was intense and unsettling. He was tall and thin, with dark sunglasses and a weird hat pulled low over his face. He stood out in the crowd, making it hard to ignore him. He had this strange smile that didn't reach his eyes. It was as if he was hiding something behind that expression. It gave me the creeps. I felt a shiver run down my spine, and I knew Tommy felt it too.
"Let's get out of here," Tommy said, his voice low and urgent.
Tommy whispered, sensing my discomfort. We didn't want to stick around and find out what that man wanted. We hurried out of the shop and back to the hotel, the man's intense gaze burning into my back. It was a strange end to an otherwise perfect day, but we were determined not to let it ruin our spring break. The next morning, we decided to hit the hotel pool. It was still a little chilly, so we were the only ones there. We were having a blast, splashing and dunking each other. Then I saw him, the man from the ice cream shop. He was sitting on a lounge chair hidden in the shade of an umbrella. His sunglasses were off, and I could see his eyes following my every move. They were dark and intense, like a predator stalking its prey. I quickly ducked underwater, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel his gaze burning into me, even through the water. I held my breath, too scared to come up for air.
"What's wrong?"
He whispered. I pointed towards the man, but when we looked again, he was gone. We decided to forget about the creepy man and just enjoy our swim. But as we were playing, I felt something brush against my leg. I froze, my blood turning to ice. It happened again, a soft, slimy touch against my ankle. I looked down into the murky depths of the pool, but I couldn't see anything. Suddenly, a figure shot past me, its arm grazing my leg. It was the man. He was swimming underwater, his eyes wide and wild. I screamed and scrambled out of the pool, my heart racing.
"What was that?"
Tommy asked, his voice shaking. The man from the ice cream shop. He was in the pool with us. We were too scared to go back to the pool. We kept peeking out the window, half expecting to see the creepy man staring back at us. Every time a shadow moved, our hearts leaped into our throats. We decided to order room service for lunch. We figured it was safer to stay hidden in our room. As we were eating, I noticed something strange. There, on the balcony next door, was a pair of dark sunglasses. Sunglasses that looked exactly like the ones the creepy man had been wearing. I pointed them out to Tommy, and his eyes widened in horror. We were being watched. We jumped up and ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. It was locked. We were trapped. We finally managed to get out of the room by calling the front desk and pretending we were locked out. We told them about the man, but they didn't seem to believe us. They just said they'd send someone to check on things. Their lack of urgency was frustrating. We decided to get out of the hotel for a while, hoping to clear our minds and come up with a plan. We figured there was safety in numbers, and the bustling crowd gave us a sense of temporary security. So we went to a crowded restaurant on the boardwalk, thinking it would be a good place to blend in. We tried to relax and enjoy our food, chatting about anything but the man to distract ourselves. But I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Every noise made me jumpy. And then I saw him. My heart sank. The man from the ice cream shop. He was unmistakable. He was sitting at a table across the restaurant, casually sipping his drink, his eyes fixed on us with an unsettling intensity. He had this smug look on his face, like he was enjoying our discomfort, like he knew he had us trapped. I grabbed Tommy's arm, my voice trembling. "We have to go," I whispered urgently. "Now! We can't stay here." We didn't even wait for the check. The fear was too overwhelming. We just ran out of the restaurant, our hearts pounding in our chests, and didn't stop running until we were back in our hotel room, gasping for breath, safely behind a locked door. We knew we had to figure out our next move. We spent the rest of the day huddled in our room, too scared to go outside. We even ordered room service again for dinner, not wanting to risk running into the creepy man again. As night fell, I started to feel uneasy. The wind howled outside, and the curtains swayed in the breeze. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the building sent shivers down my spine. "I can't take it anymore," Tommy whispered, his voice trembling. "I just want to go home." I nodded, feeling the same way. We decided to pack our bags and leave first thing in the morning. We figured it wasn't worth staying at the beach if it meant being terrorized by some creepy stalker. Exhausted from the day's events, we finally drifted off to sleep. But sleep offered little comfort. I was plagued by nightmares of the creepy man chasing us through the hotel, his laughter echoing through the hallways. I woke with a start, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was dark, the only light coming from the moon shining through the window. I could hear Tommy's steady breathing next to me, and for a moment, I felt a sense of relief. But then I saw it. A figure standing at the foot of my bed. It was tall and thin, just like the creepy man. It was wearing a hat, just like the creepy man. And it was staring at me with those same cold, dead eyes. I screamed at the top of my lungs, scrambling back against the headboard. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, watching me with an eerie stillness. I fumbled for the bedside lamp, my hand shaking so badly I could barely turn the switch. The room was cloaked in darkness, and my heart pounded in my chest. As the light flooded the room, the figure at the foot of my bed vanished. It was as if it had been swallowed by the light itself, leaving no trace behind. I jumped out of bed and raced over to where it had been standing, but there was nothing there. My mind raced. trying to make sense of what I had just witnessed. It was like it had never existed. The room was eerily quiet, and the air felt heavy with an unspoken tension. Tommy was awake now, his eyes wide with fear. He looked at me, his expression mirroring the terror I felt inside. "What happened?" he asked, his voice groggy with sleep. His confusion was evident, but I could see the fear starting to creep in. "The man!" I gasped, pointing to the empty space at the foot of my bed. "He was right there." Tommy didn't say anything. His silence spoke volumes. He just stared at me, his face pale and drawn. The disbelief in his eyes was unmistakable. I knew he didn't believe me. He thought it was just a figment of my imagination, a trick of the light. He thought I was imagining things, but the fear in my heart told me otherwise. But I knew what I had seen. The image of the figure was burned into my mind, and I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. And I knew that we weren't safe. The room felt like a trap, and I couldn't stay there any longer. We packed our bags and fled the hotel room, not stopping until we were in the safety of my aunt and uncle's house miles away. The journey was a blur, but the sense of relief when we arrived was palpable. The police never found the creepy man from the hotel. They searched the grounds, interviewed the staff, but there was no trace of him. It was like he had vanished into thin air. We tried to put the experience behind us, but it wasn't easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face staring back at me. Every time I was alone, I felt his presence lurking nearby. To this day, I still sleep with a nightlight on, just in case, because I know that some things can't be explained. Some things are better left in the dark. The end?